All right, guys, today's going to be our last day of Bill Clinton notes. Remember, tomorrow you guys are going to get a review guide to study for the test. Your test is going to be Friday on Bill Clinton. Pretty sure I'm going to make it an all multiple choice test, so it should be pretty easy for you guys. But let's go over this last group of notes. So open up your PowerPoints and go to the slide where it says affair and impeachment. All right, now, one of the things that Bill Clinton obviously is most known for is his affair with Monica Lewinsky. It led to him being impeached. People still talk about it today. It was brought up in the last election when Hillary was running against Donald Trump. So, this was definitely a historical moment. So we're going to take a look at it. Now, who was Monica Lewinsky? Well, Monica Lewinsky was a 23, I believe, year-old White House intern working under the president. So she had a lot of interactions with him. And, they got close, they had an affair, all those things. Monica legit was falling in love with him, all right? And obviously he probably wasn't feeling the same way about her, but she was in love with him. And she had a friend who she would talk to about as far as this stuff goes. And her name was Linda Tripp. Linda Tripp, by the way, if you've been watching the news, recently just passed away about a week ago. Background on Linda Tripp. Linda Tripp also worked at the White House for a time. She worked under George Bush and I believe Ronald Reagan. I may be wrong on that, but I definitely on Bush. And she loved working with them. She was a pretty hardcore Republican. She did not like the Clintons very much. And Clinton removed her from as far as working in the White House. I believe she then started working. She still worked with the government, but no longer at the White House. And she didn't like Clinton. She wasn't a big fan of Democrats or anything like that. But she was friends with Monica, and Monica would call her, and they would discuss what was going on, the ins and outs, and, all that kind of stuff about the affair, about her feelings towards Bill, all those sorts of things. Linda Tripp calls a book publisher and says, hey, I have info on the president. He's having an affair with a young lady, all these sorts of things. And the book publisher says, well, we need proof. You can't just say that. So Linda Tripp, without Monica knowing, starts recording their phone conversations. And then the phone conversations leak. And that's how it ends up becoming public. And then he's having an affair with Monica Lewinsky. Now, Clinton denies it for as long as possible. You guys know the famous line he had where he says he did not have sexual relations with that woman. That was about Monica Lewinsky and the affair. However, evidence came out proving that Clinton lied, that he definitely had an inappropriate relationship with her. So at that point, he had no choice but to go public and admit his wrongdoing. Not long after, the House voted to impeach him. Now, the House was majority Republican at the time. So when you look at how the House voted to impeach Trump, the House is majority Democrat. Well, it's the opposite here. All right? So go down to the side where it says impeachment hearings. He is charged with perjury and obstruction of justice. All right? Now, a lot of people think he was impeached just because he had an affair with a woman in the White House. It's wrong, but it's not illegal. That's not what he was impeached for. He was impeached for perjury and obstruction of justice. Now, the perjury, as hopefully you know, means lying under oath. So Clinton was giving a testimony about a sexual harassment case that he was involved in with another woman named Paula Jones. And during that testimony, a lawyer asked him, have you ever had an affair with Monica Lewinsky? And Clinton said no. So it turns out he was lying about that. So he lied under oath. That is illegal. So he's charged with that. Second thing he's charged for is obstruction of justice, which was based on his actions during subsequent investigation of that testimony, trying to keep evidence away, trying to tell people not to testify against him, those sorts of things. So he is impeached based on those two counts. And as you know, it then goes to the Senate, and the Senate decides whether or not to find him guilty or not guilty. You need 2/3 of all senators to vote guilty to be removed from office, which is why it is very hard for a president to be removed from office. President Trump, when he was impeached, not removed from office. If you look on the next slide, clearly Bill Clinton was not removed either. 55 voted not guilty, only 45 voted guilty. Not one Democrat voted guilty, and even a few Republicans voted not guilty for different reasons. If you look at the job he did as a president, he did a very good job. But once again, what he did was illegal. However, some people said what he did was lying about cheating on his wife. And they said, is that really something that he should be thrown out of office for? Now, I'm not saying he should, shouldn't, or whatever. That was just the opinion of some of the people that was voting as to whether or not for him to be found guilty or not guilty. But either way, as the affair becomes a major, major scandal, it's on every late night talk show, CNN, they're all running it 24/7. He's impeached but not removed from office. All right, so that's the very, very quick Cliff Notes story of his impeachment. Now, let's go to Clinton's foreign policy. Battle of Mogadishu. There was a hotspot going on in Africa in the country of Somalia. Mogadishu is the capital of Somalia. If you've ever heard of the movie Black Hawk Down, that's what this is about. There were like Somali pirates trying to take over the government, and the whole country was a mess, and it became a big human rights issue and all sorts of things. So Clinton sends in soldiers to protect the citizens, protect the government, and try to fight off the pirates. Well, 18 of our soldiers were killed after their helicopters were shot down. This is what the movie was about, if you've ever seen it. As bad as that is, and it's terrible, the Somalis started dragging the American bodies through the streets. I believe a couple were hung from bridges, if I'm not mistaken. And this was shown all over the news, and it was a black eye in our history as far as foreign policy goes. Clinton could have sent in more troops and just taken over the entire country, but he just realized, this may not have been something we need to be involved in. So he withdrew the remaining forces after the Mogadishu fiasco. Next slide. He did spend much of his time attempting to capture and kill Osama bin Laden. Remember, we talked about yesterday. Osama bin Laden tried to assassinate him. Clinton looked for him for years. It is believed he even had some chances to take a shot at him to kill him, but obviously it never really happened. In 1998, towards the end of Clinton's presidency, bin Laden attacks a U.S. embassy in Africa. As a response, Clinton sends cruise missile attacks to bin Laden's bases in Afghanistan. In October of 1998, I actually remember this because I was in Cooperstown, New York at the time, seeing the Baseball Hall of Fame whenever this became breaking news. He issued a policy of what is known as regime change in Iraq. What that means is where we weren't going to invade Iraq, we were not going to take out Saddam Hussein ourselves, but we were going to support the Iraqis if they decided to take out Saddam Hussein and instill their own government. After he announced that, there was a 4-day bombing campaign known as Operation Desert Fox, where we sent in cruise missiles and these sorts of things. We tried to get the Iraqi citizens to rise up and remove Hussein from office, but they were very hesitant to do so. Not necessarily because they supported Hussein, but they tried taking him out about 10 years earlier, well, actually about 8 years earlier, and it didn't work, and a lot of the people that did that ended up being executed. So they were a little hesitant on doing that. So he bombs them for 4 days, but the regime in Iraq doesn't change until the next presidency after 9/11 and the subsequent invasion of Iraq. Okay, last two slides. Public opinion of Bill Clinton. Remember, like I said, he is a very, very polarizing president. People love him or people hate him. Very few people are in the middle on this guy. During his first term in office, he had a 40 to 50% approval rating, which isn't bad. It's not great, but it's not terrible. During his second term, his approval rating went from the high 50s to the low 60s. Now, keep in mind, this is while he's being impeached. This is while it's coming out that he's having affairs and doing all these things. His approval rating actually goes up during those times for various reasons. Remember, the economy, though, at the time is booming. And if people are making money, people are having jobs, usually the approval rating of that president is high. He finished his presidency with a 68% approval rating. That is extraordinarily high. It's the highest along with Reagan and FDR as far as when they left office. FDR obviously died while he was in office. He had a brain hemorrhage. but that's what his approval rating was around the time that he died. So very, very high approval ratings. Now, for those of you guys that love Bill Clinton, you can be happy to know that in a recent poll, he was voted as the 4th greatest president ever. But for those of you guys that don't like Bill Clinton, you can be happy that in another poll, he was also ranked as the 3rd worst president ever. So you have that going for you. And once again, what does that say? He's a polarizing president. People love him or people hate him. Ranked 4th greatest president ever in one poll, 3rd worst president in another poll. All right. Now, his public image, unique thing about him, he is the first president not to be alive before or during World War II. He was born after the war ended, the first president to be like that. And he was also known as the MTV president. Now, you may say, why would he be known that? He went on MTV and did interviews when he was running for president. He answered questions from teenagers. He answered questions from people in their 20s. No presidents have really done that before him. And they would ask serious questions about taxes and foreign policy and those sorts of things. But then they would ask him, like, who's your favorite band? What's your favorite singer? It seems counterproductive as to trying to become a president, but it worked very well for him, because what it did is it helped young people relate to him. And whenever it was time for him to run for president, the young people voted for him overwhelmingly, because he took that time to go on MTV. He took that time to speak to young people. Remember, I said he went on the Arsenio Hall show, to where a lot of people said, most of these people in this age group don't even vote. Why are you wasting your time? He took a gamble. He spent a lot of time focusing on the young vote, and it paid off for him. Okay. Subsequently, after Clinton, a lot of other presidents and people running for president have tried to cater to the younger vote, because they saw with him how well it works. All right. And it did for him. That finishes up the notes on Bill Clinton. If you have any questions on any of them, if you're not sure on any of them, shoot me a message on Teams. I'll be more than happy to answer your questions and help you guys out. Tomorrow, I'm going to send you guys a study guide to look over for your test. Your test is going to be posted at 10 a.m. Friday on Teams. It will be an all multiple choice test. All right. You guys have a good day. Remember, message me with any questions, and I'll talk to you guys soon. Bye.